All right, I'm gonna show you how to estimate this room and what I think is the fastest, easiest, and most accurate way. Whether this is your very first estimate or you do millions in revenue, I know this will work for you. You basically just need 3 measurements for a standard room: the height, the length, and the width. So these are super cost effective on Amazon. It'll show you the last 3 measurements, which is all we need. So I'll just put this on the ground, get the height. For the width, with rooms like this, even though there's this bump out and stuff, if you lay it out on paper, it's the same as getting just a square. So you wouldn't want to measure here to the wall, you want to go from the farthest point. So I'm going to put it up against this wall, get that measurement, and then I'm going to measure from this back wall to that wall. And now I've got the 3 measurements that I need to measure this room real quick. A couple other things I'll jot down just because I might need them for later is number of windows and doors, which there's 2 doors, 1 window, pretty easy. All right, and now I'm going to use my Google Sheet, which will work on any phone, Apple, Android. You can use a tablet, iPad, or obviously a computer. The cool thing too with like a tablet is you don't even have to have cell phone service. You can use it offline, just as long as the default setting of recent available offline is on. All right, so I'm just going to name this real quick, call it the playroom. And then I'm going to take those 3 measurements and plug them in. So it was 10 foot high, and then it was 11.4 by 15. So I'll just jot those in. So this is broken out into section. This is my wall, and you can see it automatically filled it in based on a rectangle. If you needed to change these numbers, you just change them, and you can add more if it's like an open floor plan or odd shaped room. But now I just need to select what kind of wall are we painting. Those were textured walls, and we'll just select change color. Now that's all I need if I'm just painting the walls, but I'll show you how we can see what it would cost depending if we're doing the wall ceilings or baseboards. So I'm just going to select what type of ceiling this is. I'm going to do textured ceiling, same color. Same thing with selecting my baseboards here. I'll say it's going same color. I'm just going to hop over to my prices, and you can see I've got 9 different areas, and that's what these 9 squares represent. And you can just turn off whole rooms on or off by clicking here. So that would be on or off. And then you can turn on the individual things within the room by clicking here. And if we selected a type and entered numbers, it'll show up green here just so you can visually see it easily and know that you have the option to turn that on if you want to. So let's just turn on walls. And this is a really close price. Down at the bottom right here is going to show you the actual price with other variables like taxes, paint recycling fees, stuff like that. Also, if you do a discount, it can show you what your price should be and then what your discount price will be. But you can see that would be the price for textured walls if we're changing colors. And here's where the paint is selected. So that's using Promar 200. But let's say that I wanted to show them that paint plus a different paint. There's a ton of paints in here, and that's all being pulled from the inputs tab. So it's all these paints right here. And if you wanted to add more paints, you could just add another paint. We'll call it 40 bucks a gallon. And on the can it says it gets 400 square foot per gallon. Now in my prices, that add another paint is one of the options I can select. But let's say we want to show them emerald. So it's like, okay, the emerald is 663, the Promar 200 is 483. So in my contract, I could put a couple options like Promar 200 and emerald. This down here is just to make it quick if you do a discount. So if I'm looking at Promar 200, the price would be 537. So if I put 537 there, you can see it shows a 10% off price there. If you don't like doing that, you can just delete these. But it's there in case you do like it, just for speed. So let's see, the emerald was 737. All right, another cool thing is this painter sheet is the work order that you'd use for your subs or employees. And they can see, okay, in the playroom, these are the tasks we're doing. This is the budgeted hours we have for them. We got a little bit of setup cleanup time. The total for the room should be 7 hours. It's quoted for 3 gallons. This is how much materials would be. It spits out all the important numbers here. But now let's say that they wanted to add the ceilings. You would just click this on. And let's change this back to Promar. And you can see that's 689. So I could say Promar with ceilings is 689. And then if I wanted to see the price with baseboards, I just turn that on. We got 879. All right, and then I don't really like to show them this because watch what happens when I turn off the walls. Watch what happens to the prices of the baseboards and the ceilings. They increase. And if you have experience painting, that should make sense because it's a lot easier to add on the baseboard or add on the ceiling versus just doing it all by itself. And you can see how the time gets affected by clicking these on and off. So if I turn them all off and we're just going to paint the ceilings, you can see that's about 3.6 hours. And if we're just going to paint the walls, it's about 7 hours. But 3.6 plus 7 is like 10.5. But if I turn them both on, you'll see it's only 8.7. And you can see how these numbers change to represent the amount of time bid. And the same is true for just baseboards. It's going to take a minute, 4 hours, 7 hours for the wall. 4 plus 7 is 11. But if we do them at the same time, we're actually saving time and it's a different cost to the homeowner. So that's why I don't really like to show them this price, because I don't want them to think like, oh, it's just $122 to paint the ceiling. It's like, no, if you remove everything else, it's actually about $196 to paint the ceiling. And all of this is coming from these inputs here. So I've got all the different standards that I've accumulated over 18 years with personal testing to represent all the different scenarios. And the best part about this is it's dynamic. So you could just change it if you disagree with one, and you could add stuff also. So if you have a special type of wall, like maybe you do faux finishes or something, you can put that in there. And all you have to do is just enter something here. So it would be custom two-tone baseboard, something weird that's just, not standard. And then all you have to ask yourself is, how many linear foot can I do in 1 hour? So let's say, hey, this is a pretty tough one. It's weird. I think I could probably get like 12 foot done an hour with 2 coats or whatever all the tasks associated are with it. So I'll just put 12 there. And now I can come back here. I can change my baseboard to that one. Make sure baseboards is on. It'll affect the time in here as well as obviously the price. Another cool thing is if it doesn't make sense to make a new standard on all of these rooms, you've got this other where there's no standard for it. So you can just put in anything you want. So like special customer request, where there's not really a standard for it. Doesn't make sense to create one because it's a one-off thing. And then you just put, hey, how many hours would it take? And do you need any paint to do it? So it's like, oh, that would take me 3 hours. Put that in there. You can leave this blank if it doesn't require paint. What if it does? Put in the amount of gallons. I'll put 1. And then on your prices sheet, you'll see this is green now. If I turn this on, it fills it out with what I put, special customer request. And then it's asking me to select a paint. So I'll come down here to other and I'll select what kind of paint I was going to use for it. And then it incorporates it, puts it in my work order with the hours, and all works together. And you can link all this stuff up with my CRM. So whenever an estimate gets set, it creates this link right here, where if I click there, it's going to take me to the drive. It creates a folder with the client's name, and then the measurement sheet is in there, pre-filled out with their information, ready to go. So the estimator can just get there, type in the numbers, present the agreement, and get them signed up right then and there. What's also really cool is it's got a script in there, so you can just create an event, pick which Google Calendar you want, press submit, and it'll automatically create a job in your Google Calendar with all the important notes from the contract. It also has a link to the contract and folder for that client, as well as a link that takes you straight into my CRM on that client. So we can see everything about them, all the text, phone calls, payments. It just streamlines everything and makes it super easy to be organized.